Hello guys, and welcome to another hangout with the International Full Soap Timeline. Got a lot of ground to cover tonight, but I'll start off with a bit of a rant against censorship. My YouTube channel, both my YouTube channels, are heavily shadow banned. The Full Soap Timeline channel, the second channel, it's ludicrous. I've only got 18 subscribers on that. But I was in my local library the other day, and I couldn't find it at all. It wasn't blocked; it just didn't show up. And this is this is outrageous. This. Back in December 2019, I published an article called "Internet Censorship in Croydon Libraries." I live in Bromley Library. It's my Bromley Libraries, Penge Library I use. But I remembered I published this article, and some of the censorship I noted there. For example, Anthony Brian Logan, who is an American conservative, black conservative, at the time his channel had 1,276 videos, 348,000 subscribers. It's got over 1 million now. And a YouTube search returned only 5 results. It's just absolutely shocking. Interestingly, there were no results for the ADL. That's amazing. Antifa was restricted, but not as bad. But I might say my local library now it precedes this censorship by this current Labour tyranny, and it is a tyranny. Start with a bit of humour. Some of my Full Soap Timeline entries, I call them bitches be crazy, and I did a search on I think it's GROK, either GROK or ChatGPT. I think it's GROK. And I said, who was the first person to use the phrase "them bitches be crazy"? And it comes back, the exact origin of the phrase "them bitches be crazy" is difficult to pinpoint, yada yada yada. It's likely within African American vernacular English, AAVE. Never heard that before. It goes on, based on available information, there is no definitive record of a single individual being the first to use this specific phrase. However, it gained traction in online spaces, particularly through memes, social media and entertainment media. One notable early reference comes from a 2020 TV episode titled "Them Bitches Be Crazy" from the International Full Soap Timeline. So, my fame endureth. Okay, as I said, we've got a lot to cover tonight. The big story, which I will cover first, is the continuing saga of Jeffrey Epstein, R.I.P., or perhaps burn in hell. Last month, the Assistant Attorney General of the United States visited Ghislaine Maxwell and interviewed her over 2 days. The full video, the audio is uploaded to YouTube, but you can't just upload audios to YouTube. You have to make 200 videos. And the full audio was uploaded to YouTube, and I've got a transcript as well. I played the whole thing. I listened to the entire thing, all 6 hours, 7 minutes, 56 seconds of it. I've also uploaded the audio. I converted it to audio from the YouTube. So I've uploaded the audio and the transcript to the Internet Archive. I'm not the first person to do that. And basically, Maxwell says, I didn't do nothing. Her entire interview was 100% exculpatory. Having said that, I'm inclined to believe, I think the evidence indicates this, that all this nonsense about the client list it all can all be traced to the odious Virginia Roberts, well, later Virginia Giuffre. Giuffre's name does not appear in it's been totally redacted. Though there's no doubt that she's referring to her. But I think the whole thing, what happened with this, first of all, in 1996, Maria Farmer and her sister reported Epstein, and Ghislaine claimed that they, I suppose you'd call it indecent assault. I thought her sister was, I think, 16 at the time, but this was really weird stuff. She reported this to New York police. She was told to, I think, if I remember correctly, she was told to contact the FBI. Nothing was done. In 1997, Epstein he met some young woman, a bit hot here still. He met some young woman, wait, open the window. He met some young woman and tried touching her up. She reported it. Nothing was done. It wasn't until much later, I think it was 2004, that a woman in Palm Beach found her stepdaughter with a large sum of money, about $400, and she reported that to the police, and that's where the investigation of Epstein happened. And they raided his place. He was arrested, and he ended up getting what's called a real sweetheart deal. And much has been made of this. Now, from everything I've seen, so what? You listen to these idiots in the media, they talk about survivors. There were no survivors of Epstein. Epstein was, the only allegations made against him up until that point were, they say, those two groping allegations. Well, there's the allegation with Maria Farmer and her sister, the groping allegation, or whatever it was, in 1997, and he was paying slightly underage girls to give him massages, which, I say that was sexual. I've had lots of massages for totally non-sexual reasons. I've had a neck injury since in October 1988. I've got a lower back injury, and if you know, those who know me will understand where that came from. A serious assault in November 1993. I've had physiotherapy, I've had osteopathy, Chinese massage, acupuncture. People have massages for all sorts of reasons. Sports, there's nothing necessarily sexual about it. Ghislaine said that Epstein told her that he had a heart condition and he couldn't have sex or sex regularly. She had sex with him. She also said he liked blowjobs. I didn't know anything about his business. Yeah, I didn't do nothing. But a 20-year sentence is ludicrous. I mean, as I said before, in the UK should have got 3 years, 5 years, 7 at the top way. I don't think Epstein would have got much more than 7 years for this latest stuff. You know, the client list is. I mean, there are all sorts of lists. Everybody makes lists. You know, you have a list in your phone. A shopping list is a list, isn't it? As far as I can work out, what happened was after Virginia Giuffre, Epstein sent her to Thailand to take a massage course, and she said to bring back a girl with her, which may or may not be true. While she was there, she met her husband, Robert Giuffre, had a whirlwind romance, and he whisked her off to Australia. And in, I think it was 2006, the FBI turned up on her doorstep, and they were looking for information about so-called trafficking. She was in it up to her neck, She's admitted this. She admitted she recruited girls for Epstein. Yet somehow she's a victim. She's a survivor. And I think she spun them this cock and ball story. Then she was contacted by the Daily Mail. She sold her story and that photograph, probably genuine photograph. I'll put it here. Sold that to the Mail on Sunday. She got $160,000 for that and her story. That was in February 2011. She claimed that she'd met Prince Andrew, but nothing wrong. Then years later, I was sexually abused by a member of the royal family. And she accused Alan Dershowitz as well. Lies. All lies. All lies. And there are people out there, the idiot Tower Palmieri and others, pushing this narrative about trafficking. Just change the segment there. Right, yeah. There were survivors that trafficking and the girls' lives have been ruined. No, if you want to see a girl or girls whose lives have been ruined, take a gander at some of the victims of the child sex trafficking, the grooming gangs in England. Here's a very tiny sample.
They get you that drunk, you pass out, and then it's like, what's happened? I remember them 7 men taking it on turns on me. So it's the ones that I'm scared of are the ones that I don't remember.
Yeah.
Because they take you to hotel rooms, get you that drunk. I've woke up in a state naked that I ran straight out the hotel, running up the road naked out the hotel room trying to scream for help, and they've jumped straight in the car and forced me in the car again.
Epstein didn't do anything like that. And this business about the island, he had staff there, and he was inviting scientists, all sorts of people there. He was a heavy Democrat donor, and he was, I suppose you'd call him a philanthropist, who donated to all sorts of causes. And he had a big interest in science for whatever reason. And undoubtedly there were young, like 20-something girls there on the island. Well, I've got news for you. Older men, wealthy men, powerful men, extremely wealthy men, they get to hang around with much younger women. That's the way it is, right? That is the way it is. Look at some of these rock stars. I mean, Mick Jagger, the younger, he's over 80 now. Jimmy Page, they've got much younger love interests. That's the way it is. You know, that's the way it is. And all these stories about the island. I mean, who else was it? Sarah Ransom. She's another so-called survivor. Sarah Ransom was a prostitute. She admitted that. She's a prostitute. I think all this garbage came from Virginia Roberts. Well, Virginia Giuffre, she what then was. And all this, it's been all these idiots pushing this garbage. Andrew Gold had that Shaun Attwood on his channel the other day, and he was making claims about Bill Clinton. Well, he's not the first person to do that. Attwood, he's a charisma in an empty suit, I called him. He phoned me one night and said that he wanted me to come to his studio at Guildford and do an interview, my position on Jimmy Savile, and he said he'd get someone like John Wedger to oppose me. And I agreed to it, and I never heard anything about it. They're not interested in truth, these people, only in pushing nonsense and dragging down the royal family people in power. The reason all this nonsense has recurred is because Donald Trump knew Epstein, he fraternised with him, and they somehow tried to claim that Trump was involved in anything Epstein did. The Democrats had years to push this, but now he's in the White House again for the second time. It's just absolutely ludicrous. So these girls were not survivors. You can call them victims, yeah, you can call them victims. They were paid $200 a shot for their massages, and a lot of them have come back from more now, claiming their lives have been ruined. There's been tens of millions, well over $100 million dished out from the Epstein fund to various women claiming they're being abused by whatever. A lot of this is claim farming. Lawyers recruiting people to make false claims, not necessarily of sexual nature. I made a video about this. It's been banned in Australia because they're getting motorists to make phony claims. One interesting thing Maxwell said in her interview was that she suggested that there's a law firm or a lawyer was heavily involved in pushing this nonsense, and she didn't mean Gloria Allred. Before you read anything else about Jeffrey Epstein or Sweet Virginia, check out my videos and my articles. I'll put links below. Other people have been covering this subject as well. A guy named H.G. Tudor's just made a very good video about Sweet Virginia. There's a bloke called Michael Tracy, an American journalist, has covered it. And this whole thing is, I mean, there were girls doing massages. They were underage. Epstein should have been punished for that, probably more severely than he was. Ghislaine Maxwell was his housekeeper or whatever, business partner, whatever you want, and occasional mistress or one-time mistress. She was involved in it, but these weren't rape gangs, right? So at some point I want to make a long video on this, but the whole thing is just complete garbage. We've had this in Britain. We had there's the Elm Guest House List, which was Elm Guest House was real. Again, I'll put a link to my article about the Elm Guest House below. There's the V.I.P. Paedophile Ring scam. These things happen all the time. The authorities investigate them, and when they find nothing or very little, they're accused of covering up. Now there are cover-ups. As I said, there's still this massive scandal in England with the grooming gangs, what they're called now, rape gangs. But just because the authorities don't find it or claim not to find it, it doesn't mean there's a big conspiracy cover-up. There are bona fide reasons for them not releasing all everything they found. There appears to be what Pam Bondi called a lot of child porn. I think it's just Epstein, he had cameras all over the place. Many times this led to the claim that he was a spy, working for Mossad or the CIA or whatever. Don't believe any of that rubbish. He was just a voyeur as well as other things. And people's names are redacted to protect the innocent, sometimes the guilty, including false accusers. There are a lot of false accusers. Alan Dershowitz mentioned this. Normally, grand jury testimony is not released to the public. There are exceptions, but anyway, the whole thing is complete rubbish. Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is serving a much heavier sentence than she should be serving. And let me make it clear, she should be serving in prison. She should be out now, but she should have been sentenced to something. And they're just using this to try to smear Donald Trump. It's all garbage. These girls were not survivors. You call them victims, but they're not survivors. Right, let's move on to something else. Right, this isn't rape. It's as good as for this guy's career. Noel Clarke is an actor. He was, I think, the first black actor to play Doctor Who. I'm not sure we needed Doctor Who, but a black Doctor Who. Well, certainly don't need a female Doctor Who. And we definitely don't need a queer one. He sued the Guardian and for defamation, and he lost. This was reported August 22nd. Key findings from the High Court ruling in Noel Clarke's libel case against the Guardian. 224-page judgment. But the Guardian's defences and found Clarke was not a credible or reliable witness. The court found the Guardian's failure on both its defences. There are strong grounds to believe that the claimant is a serial abuser of women. That he has over 15 years used his power to prey on and harass sometimes pretty female girls. This is all BS. 8 articles. You know, they go back years. They go searching for so-called victims, go trawling, and they find women who've made no allegations at all. And suddenly they're accusing the guy of all manner of things. Clarke is by no means the first person this has happened to, of course. BAFTA suspends outstanding contribution award and Access membership. Alleged misconduct includes claims he secretly filmed naked audition so as to film. Allegedly showed colleagues sexually explicit photos and videos of women. And where are they? There was one. I remember one. There was one so-called victim that she said the Guardian had made up these quotes and testified for him. Clarke also became aware of allegations which he vehemently denies. As he steps off the stage holding his gong, his reputation remains publicly unblemished, not just as an actor, producer. I mean, the Guardian has spoken to 20 women, all of whom knew Clarke in a professional capacity. They variously accused him of sexual harassment, unwanted touching or grabbing, sexually inappropriate behaviour and comments on set, professional misconduct, showing sexually explicit. I mean, where's the physical evidence? Clarke said, in a 20-year career, I've put inclusivity. Oh my God, inclusivity and diversity. Well, maybe he deserves it. At the forefront of my work, I never had a complaint made against me. If anyone who's worked with me has ever felt uncomfortable or disrespected, I sincerely apologise. Never apologise. Never. This sort of BS. After Ghomeshi is a big name in Canadian radio. What happened with him? He was into S&M, and he cracked one of his partner's girl's rib. From there, allegations mushroomed against came out. She didn't accuse him, but there were 3 women in court, headed by Lucy Decatur, failed actress. He wasn't accused of rape, but he was accused of serious offences going back years. Basically, 3 of them conspired against him, told all manner of lies, and fortunately for him, he kept the correspondence he had years from years back, and it showed clearly that they were lying. And after that, after he was cleared of all impropriety, he signed a peace bond against one of his accusers, which didn't go to trial. But after he was cleared, Lucy Decatur was given space by the Guardian to parrot the same lies that have been comprehensively demolished in court. Then there's Rolf Harris. As some of you may know, I am the reason that Rolf Harris died a free man. Well, I mean, I pointed him in the direction of William Merritt, private investigator extraordinaire, but he engaged Merritt, and if he would have died behind bars. They tried to keep him in prison. They tried to basically keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. After his initial conviction, but they brought further allegations. One of them was a blind woman who claimed that he groped her during an interview at the blind centre in London, it was. And Merritt and his team, they dug out a witness. Basically, the three people was Harris and her and a technician. They were recording an interview in a small room, and such was the nature of the room and everything that what she said Harris did couldn't have happened, and he was acquitted by the jury, and the other accusers as well. He was acquitted, and after his death, the Guardian gave this cunt, this lying blind cunt, space to parrot the lies that have been refuted in court. So the Guardian has got, and I had a personal run with the Guardian concerning Jerry Gable, the lies he told in his obituary of Colin Jordan, but I won't go there. But this is, so basically this guy Clarke, I don't know if his career's ruined, but I don't believe any of this bullshit. No one complained at the time. There were anonymous complaints as well. Almost any powerful man, any actor's not necessarily powerful, but any big name actor, any film director, any businessman, any politician, if you go looking for allegations, if you put up a flag and say, come and accuse this man, there'll be demented women out there, sometimes demented men. And look what happened with Kevin Spacey. It's absolutely outrageous. Right, this is an entry on the timeline, but it covers things which aren't on the timeline, if you see where I'm going. March 23rd, 1985, Rain Roberts published a letter in the British Medical Journal. She was the founder of in Britain, sexual assault referral centres. And it's an interesting, amusing letter actually. Sir, I was delighted to see Dr. Mary Durrell's article on the need for sexual assault centres in the UK, and I hope that as a result there's some progress will actually be made. In the matter of rape, there are two major problems. First is that many women do not report to the police, they do not know where to go, where to get help. But who says? Who says? This means that perpetrators of rape are being allowed to get away with their crimes, and no doubt to repeat them with impunity. It also means that women concerned may not get the help they need, and this will surely lead to future morbidity in some cases. I presume she means like death. The second problem is the number of women who do report to the police they have been raped and then withdraw the allegation. In some cases they have been raped but feel unable to go on with the investigation, and this is understandable when the reality of a rape trial is considered. However, there is a further, even more difficult problem, and that is the number of cases which turn out to be completely unfounded. In 1984, I saw 37 cases of alleged rape at the request of the police, and 12 of these proved to be unfounded. I don't think I've got 12 false allegations for 1984. Well, certainly not for England. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there's a lot. There's one from Singapore, New England, Florida, Peru. No, not many for one from Wilmington. Oh, not Wilmington in the United States. Yeah, there's several from the UK, but this is one doctor who saw 12. So, as I said before, a lot of these cases are not reported. The police don't prosecute, and the local press, or maybe a report, but then there's no follow-up. And I mentioned this before with a case which I hadn't heard of. Lady Colin Campbell. I was watching Lady Colin Campbell's channel, YouTube channel, and she mentioned a case of a false rape allegation in the grounds of Castle Goring. And I looked up, and I found the actual case reported by the Mail and the local press, but there was no follow up which showed it was a false rape allegation. So anyway, Ray Roberts goes on. One was a woman who'd been drinking, and after attending the inquest on her grandfather, claimed she'd been raped on some open ground. Another was a disabled girl who had fallen out with a disabled boyfriend and alleged that an unknown person raped her. In the third case, a girl who had taken an overdose alleged that her stepfather raped her, but this was not true. The girl had made many such allegations to police sources all over the country. What do you make of that? It may well be that stepfather had raped her in the past, but the presenting story is untrue. Why should you believe? Why would you believe it? I mean, seriously. Anyway, I'm gonna have a look through. I don't know if she wrote her memoirs, but I'm gonna keep looking for old allegations. There's quite a few now in the British newspaper archive. Quite a lot online and in Newsbank, but I say the lot which won't actually be reported anywhere. I don't you can ever find them really. Any police reports won't have been shredded by now. Anyway, that's from 1980 to 1980s. Right, this is slightly off the beaten track. Kelly is going to hate me for this, but I have to play it.
Welcome to Turf Talk Live.
I didn't prepare anything, so I don't have anything really profound or clever to say. It's just a story about my mother, so I don't want to be on camera to protect her privacy. So my mother is 78, and she has dementia and Alzheimer's, which I didn't realise are two different things, but they are. And she's recently had to accept carers coming into the house in the mornings to help her get washed and dressed. This was a big step for her, particularly because of her history. So when my mother was young, she had several instances of sexual abuse, not within the immediate family, but within people whom she thought were uncles, but were just family friends. Her best friend's father raped her when she was 14, groomed her and raped her, did terrorising things like invite her to go away into the country with them on a picnic, and it'll be you and your best friend and me and the mother, and then it was only him who would come and take her, and she was trapped. She didn't speak about this for 50 odd years, and in the last few years she started to talk about it, and part of that was because of the medication they give her for Alzheimer's can bring up dreams and memories from the past. They actually couldn't put her on the optimal dose because she was having such trouble with nightmares, flashbacks. She'd blocked it out her whole life.
Medication can bring up dreams and memories from the past. Yeah, dreams. I mean, as I said before, this is where a lot of your historical allegations come from. That was regarding this ludicrous trans business. But what happens is there'll be a TV series or film or something, usually shown on TV, with a sexual abuse storyline, and rape crisis centres are inundated with women who've suddenly these repressed memories have come back. Well, no, these sort of memories are totally unreliable without extremely strong corroboration. I mean, dreams, you know. I've explained this. I'll put a link to the etiology of hysteria. These are false memories, confabulations. They happen all the time, mostly in a non-sexual context. That is totally unreliable. So I was going to enter this on the timeline. I probably shouldn't laugh. I found this guy had been accused of rape, and the rape charge had been dropped. I thought this is December 3rd, 1999. I'm not quite sure, but this is Herald. Let me find the actual source. It's a local paper, a UK paper. I think it's a Midlands paper anyway. A Tamworth teenager has been cleared of charge of rape. The allegation against 19-year-old Richard Charles Dalton of Turnberry, Amington, was withdrawn when he appeared before town magistrates. A further serious sexual charge was referred to Stafford Crown Court, who was granted bail. And I'm not putting this on the timeline because the other charge was buggery. And this is really amazing. This is a false rape allegation and a genuine. A Tamworth youth who committed a serious sexual offence against a drunken 16-year-old virgin celebrating the end of her GCSE exams has had his sentence halved from 6 months detention to 3. Stay away from drunk women, stay away from drunk teenagers, stay away from drunks, period. College student Richard Charles Dalton of Turnberry, Amington, pleaded guilty to buggery and was sent to a young offenders institution. But appealed against his sentence, the criminal Court of Appeal halved it. Mr. Justice Toulson, sitting with 2 other judges, as they tend to, said that on June 25th this year, a 16-year-old schoolgirl just finished her GCSE exams. He said she'd been working hard for a long time before she and friends went out to celebrate. There was a number of clubs and pubs, so there was ample evidence she had become much the worse for a drink. The judge said that during the evening, the girl approached the man and attempted to kiss him, but he politely fobbed her off, saying to one man. Afterwards, she approached Dalton and they embraced. It appeared that she then carried out an act of oral sex. This gets worse. So she carried out an act of oral sex. The pair went down an alley where they had sex. One of the girl's friends came along to try to persuade her to come away because she was due to be collected by her mother, who would have been pleased. Mr. Justice Toulson continued. It was immediately after that the offence occurred. He said it took place over a bench in the alley. Dalton recognised there might have been a mistake, but she appeared to be consenting. Further vaginal intercourse took place. Oh my God! So, no, don't have anal sex, but anal sex and vaginal sex, no. I mean, just, oh God. At that stage, or shortly after, she became extremely distressed. She went off to join her friends, and he resumed drinking in the pub. The police were called, and the girl was taken home. After questioning by her parents, she rather simply made a complaint and he raped her. The judge said Dalton told police that vaginal and anal intercourse had occurred, which she consented. The charge of rape was not proceeded with because there was ample evidence from other witnesses that she had initiated a sexual advance, and they still convicted of buggery. Now there's another article here from the Press and Journal, this one, 2002, January 2002. Woman tells of alleged rape in flashbacks. An Aberdeen woman who claimed she was raped by a friend yesterday told her she'd suffered flashbacks and nightmares since she alleged attack. A bloke named Arthur Joss was in the dock here. And he was acquitted. This is from the Evening Express, the Aberdeen Evening Express, City Lake Final, January 30th, 2002. Rape accused walks free. An Aberdeen man accused of rape was walked free after the allegation was withdrawn by the prosecution. Arthur Joss was acquitted by Lord Hardy at the High Court in Forfar on the second day of his trial. I might add this to timeline, I don't know. As I pointed out in a previous hangout, the sexual grievance industry in Scotland has, I mean, what they've done there with rape shield laws. There's one case, I couldn't quite believe this. A guy, he's with a woman in a pub or a club. She sucks his thumb. They go into the disabled toilet and have sex. Then they go back to his place, and 6 o'clock in the morning, she wakes up. She can't remember how she got there. Claims she was too drunk to consent, whatever. And when the case comes to trial, he isn't allowed to mention that they had consensual sex the previous night. Which is mind-boggling. Absolutely. And there's a lot of concern in Scotland that basically there's women concerned that their loved ones are being railroaded by these ludicrous laws. I mean, it's absolutely. My personal belief is there should be no rape shield laws at all. The idea that women will be embarrassed or humiliated now. I mean, not this. This is an age when homosexuals aspire to and hold positions of high office, where ordinary people and celebrities go on chat shows and talk about their drink problems, their drunk problems, their sex lives. Nobody's going to think. Well, who's going to think worse of a woman if she takes a stand and her sexual history comes out? And as I've said before, there's a risk that when a witness is cross-examined by the prosecution or defence, if it's outrageously vicious, then it will alienate the jury. So a bloke is accused of rape, at best not have his brief subject the alleged victim to, or complainer as they say in Scotland, to really outrageous cross-examination. So we should keep an eye on that. This is an interesting report from India. The Logical Indian, August the 21st. Lucknow lawyer sentenced to life imprisonment after filing 29 fake rape cases. On August the 19th, a Lucknow special court handed down life imprisonment to lawyer Parmanand Gupta for orchestrating a series of fraudulent rape and molestation cases under the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention and Atrocities Act, using Dalit woman Pooja Rawat as a front. Dalit is these are the untouchables. Yeah, so much racism. Using Dalit woman Pooja Rawat as a front, Gupta masterminded nearly 30 false FIRs and legal cases, most of which targeted family rivals amid property disputes. I mean, it's outrageous, isn't it? But so it does. We've seen this happen in Britain and elsewhere. Probably the most outrageous was when Lee Day sent a team to Kenya to fabricate cases against British troops from decades before. I'll put a link to that as well. This is an amusing case from Canada. I haven't finished research here. I might add it, I don't know. This is the Toronto Star, June 28, 1979. Thought fling with dentist pay for teeth caps. Actress. Toronto actress Susan Lovett testified yesterday she has sexual intercourse with a dentist, believing he would consider it payment for his bill. She said the dentist, Joseph Druck, did a good job of capping her teeth and intercourse occurred in his office last year after he had several drinks. She said after the appointment, we had about 3 scotches, then he started taking my dress off. I didn't know what to do. I thought it was a psycho. I was just staring at it. The trial continues. I mean, absolutely. You couldn't make this stuff up. Right, this is what we got now. This is from the Mid-Sussex Times, January 19, 1990. Rape charges dropped. The 2 charges of rape against Daniel Nathan McWethy of St Andrews Road, Burgess Hill, being dropped after the principal witness refused to give evidence. Wonder what principal witness that was. So I might look into that. There's a lot more of these. Just one more. Student cleared. This is Express and Star Town Final, September 20th, 1996. Student rape case accused is cleared. A Wolverhampton man accused of raping and forcibly imprisoning an 18-year-old student was this afternoon cleared by jury. Bloke named Brian Clarke was also cleared of attempting to make the student work as a prostitute and intimidating a witness. He denied all the charges. The jury reached unanimous verdicts on all 4 counts. The student, also from Wolverhampton, had claimed that Clarke activated the central locking on his white BMW while giving her a lift from a nightclub. She said he then drove her to his home. She claimed he tried to drag her back to the house after she tried to escape. The following day, she told the jury he made her phone a number of saunas in London to inquire about work as a prostitute. Finally, she said she was able to run from the house and call a taxi on a mobile phone. So she had a mobile phone in 1996. Probably won't be adding that to the time, right? It sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? There was a lot more, but I really wanted to mention the Ghislaine Maxwell interview and don't believe any of this rubbish about. I mean, Epstein was a creep, you know, but the idea that there were rich and famous going to his island to abuse underage girls, it's all BS. I've no doubt there were some young women there who were perhaps hooking up with older men, but that's that's the way it is. Not something I've had an experience of, and in retrospect, I'm glad I haven't. And the press and the mainstream media and social media will continue to push this nonsense, but look at the original documentation. It's all online. Giuffre admitted to she came unstuck when she sued Dershowitz for calling her a liar, and who was backing her? Yeah, the whole thing's a racket, basically. A racket for lawyers and for basically for clicks, you know. So I'll leave that as it is, and commiserations to Noel Clarke, and commiserations to Ghislaine Maxwell as well, because I can't see her getting out of prison anytime soon.